So guys, now let's start with our presentation. Uh, each I hope that everyone knows the rules and how they will be evaluated. So first, I will like to invite Joseph to give his presentation.
Yeah, can I share the screen?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I also want to share one more thing. All the presenters will have 25 minutes to give their presentation, and when you will complete your 20 minutes, me or Nikhil Iyer will interrupt and remind you of the timing, and then you will have to complete your presentation within 5 minutes. Yeah, yes sir. Now yes, yeah, Sujay, now you can share your screen.
Yeah, I'm just starting. Yeah, is it visible to everyone?
No.
Yes, yeah, Sujay, it is visible.
1 second.
Yeah, Sujay, it is visible.
1 second, just starting. Yeah. Now?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I am Sujay Joseph, in charge of communications and fundraising at a child rights organization. It is called Butterflies. It is based in New Delhi, India. It was formed in the year 1989. I Miss Rita Panikar. And why the name in Butterflies? Because both children and also butterflies, they have the same innocence and the beauty and the the color of, and also the vibrancy of the butterflies. We dream of a vision. The guiding vision of our organization is a world where every child is loved and respected regardless of age, race, class, caste, or gender. We are driven by the mission that butterflies goal is to continuously seek approaches and strategies to work with children in their efforts and struggles in protecting uh, their 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 rights. And whom do we work with? Children in streets situations, and also working children, children of homeless families and migrant families, children in crisis, and children in conflict with the law. We have a different approach of working with children. Disturbance. I'm sorry. Uh, our approach is rights based. We believe that children also have rights like adults, like anybody else, and we believe in non 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 institutionalization. In the sense, we don't believe in institutionalizing children. We do not believe in locking up children in childcare institutions or or and or even like in orphanages. We believe that the child's that that the child's in the first place and the best place for a child, it has to be his or her uh, own in a happy family, own happy and also caring and having family. For that, so the third approach is it is it's participatory. I by this term we mean that we need to consult if we need to consult. We need to consult in the children if if we are organizing if we are organizing any program or any project regarding children. It means that if we are taking a decision regarding a child's future, we also need to consult him and also take take his or her an opinion. Our interventions are most of our programs, they are run with the concept through the concept of cooperatives. In the sense, we have an education cooperative. It consists of a mobile school and the street education program. And then our second program is the child health and sports cooperative. And third program is the children's development, children's development Khazana, and the fourth cooperative is the children's media cooperative. And the other interventions are we also provide in temporary care and rehabilitation services and emergency response, vocational training, research and uh, documentation training, and also capacity building, building of stakeholders. Uh, we also work in partnership with 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 other NGOs, and we also do advocacy work with the government and other stakeholders. We also have a volunteer and internship program, and when we are also into communications and fundraising, and we also are involved uh, and in organizational develop, development initiatives. Our intervention in context are we don't have we, we don't have any childcare centers or any infrastructure in like any rooms or something or classrooms. We teach and we teach children and provide them services in in mostly open areas like in street corners, community parks, bus stations, school playgrounds, and also mobile schools. Are in a reach. It is directly through directly in 8 areas in Delhi, Kashmiri Gate, in Hathi Park, Chandni Chowk, uh, uh, Chandni Chowk, Aine Market, uh, Sadar Bazaar, and Nizamuddin Dargah Mobile School, and Okra Mandi Jama Masjid. Our reach, we also work through partner NGOs in other countries, specifically in 8 countries of the world, and in India through other partner NGOs in 11 states of India. And a few of our subjects are the main in core component of a subject is IFES skills education. In our centers, like in our programs, we teach children important skills like self-awareness, interpersonal relationship, effective communication, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, coping with stress and emotion, empathy, and democratic values. These are delivered through the education cooperatives, street and mobile education, the children's media program, Alliance, and the child health and sports cooperative, the children's development, the children's development Khazana, vocational training, and uh, 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 and also child protection program. Yeah. Brief mention about the education cooperative delivered through the street education and the mobile school program. The unique component is that children, they lead the entire process, as a heterogeneous grouping promotes democratic participation and values. It builds in collaborative skills of the members, and each group has its own autonomy. Simultaneous interaction promotes equal participation, individual accountability, positive interdependence, shared learning goals and responsibilities. Brief about the children about the children's in development about the children's development Khazana. It was conceived and established by Butterflies in the year 2001. It is basically a IF skills program teaching children financial management. It is a vehicle of children's participation, operational in 8 countries in the world and 7 states of India. As of 31st March 2019, we have a membership of almost 247 children, 10,926 girls, and 12,321 boys in 225 branches, saving saving 1 1,03,484 uh, US dollars. The objectives of EDK are to facilitate children's participation in decision making processes, to enable children to meet their survival needs, food, health, and development needs, to increase children's life skills, to equip children with uh, uh, vocational and entrepreneurship skills, and to equip children financial with financial financial management skills. And uh, uh, another program is the Child Health and Sports Cooperative. It is again a cooperative of children themselves to lead safer, healthier, and emotionally well lives, uh, using curative, preventive, and promotive healthcare, and also sports as a tool for emotional well-being. It is the main components of the child health and sports. The cooperative are uh, buddies. They are the barefoot counselors, and we have a health van. It's a health ambulance which goes to all the contact points, project areas in Delhi, which to deliver in healthcare facilities to children. We have a child sports educator also. Her role is to educate and ensure that children, they are engaged in sports and play, and also in any physical activity and physical activity, and they do all this through collective action. And they also have health and sports cooperative meetings, and this program, it also has a component of the child health child health educator. Now, the role of the child health educator is to learn first aid, is to learn first aid and basic sanitation, basic sanitation and hygiene, and to share that knowledge among his own friends, his own his own family, and also community members. Since we strongly believe in the principle of 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 Mahatma Gandhi, that if you want to see real change in the world, and in the community, we, we will have to begin with and the children. Uh, yeah. Another program we have, it is child protection. It is an emergency helpline 1098. It is a toll-free number where children can call for help at any time, day or night. It is a temporary, and we also have a temporary care at our own our own shelter home called Resilience Center, and we also have child social protection committees. And this the now we also are involved in family therapeutic care and social casework. This means that in case the family it is dysfunctional, in case and the father is an abusive father or an alcoholic father, he is not accountable or responsible uh, towards his own children and uh, uh, towards his children uh, and towards his children and his family. We do therapy. We do therapy also with the father and with the mother as well. In case and the mother is also abusive or addictive or something. And another program is a children's media program where in children they have their own radio show. It's called Butterflies. It's called Butterflies Broadcasting Children, BBC, and they bring out their own radio shows on several issues. Uh, Mainly children's issues like sexual abuse, importance of healthcare, importance of sanitation, importance of hygiene, and also importance of eating healthy food, etc., etc. All of their radio programs, they are aired on on uh, on All India Radio. It's, it, it's and it is aired like every Thursday. It's aired and apart from that, we also help children take out mm, their own in newspapers. It's called the International uh, Child Reporter and also Delhi Children's Times. So these papers, all the articles, or at least in most of them, they are written uh, by, by children themselves, and they are also circulated in uh, media and also community members, the schools, and also government and also in a government officials.
Sujay,
Yes.
please wind up in 5 minutes. This is
Another, yeah, another vocational another another program is a vocational training program. It is a Butterfly School of Culinary and Catering. It is a 2-year it's a 2-year course in culinary and also catering, uh, where mostly street children, they are street and adolescent youth, they are trained and to become chefs in a fine dining restaurants or start their own restaurants. If you see the photo on the extreme left, he was a street. He was a street child. He was a rag picker in I think Kashmiri Gate, and now he he is a chef. He is a chef. He is a chef like in a cruise liner, like in a cruise liner, uh, in a cruise liner, uh, and in Florida. And so these other children also, they are also in a well placed in like proper restaurants, like in a mainly in a five star in restaurants, and also hotels. And we also engage in with the community also, since we need to involve the community members also, and also the parents, to ensure that children, they are also getting like the best services. And we also engage with the government also. A few of our publications are here. We partnership. We also do training of in capacity buildings, uh, uh, and of in stakeholders like the police people and of school teachers, etc. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's. Thank you very much.
Nice, Sujoy. Wonderful, yeah.
Wonderful, Sujay. Yeah.
Big applause to you.
Sujay. Sujay, I have a
Yeah.
question. So, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sujay, so then my question is that as you said that as you said that your NGO provides training uh, to like the vocational training as chef and all. So then after completing the training, does your NGO also provide placements through their training?
Yeah. We have a type with big hotels, uh, like the Taj Hotel, and also in a JW Marriott, etc. And also, I think we also tied up with uh, uh, in a Radisson group of hotels. So yeah, we do provide and the children in a both like industry exposure, and and like internships, and also final placements also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, thank you, Sujay.
Thank you, most.
Yeah, Sujay, I have one more question. As you shared in your slides, that you take care of those children whose parents cannot take care of them, like either they can be abusive or this addict and all. So then my question is that do you uh, as you said now that you take temporary care for them, so then do you so then after taking care for some time, so does your NGO return those children back to their parents, or they keep them for adoption, so that the so that the so that the another good family could adopt them and all?
No, no, we try our best to restore the child in a back to their to their own family. we do, and prior to that, we do casework with with the family. We try to help. We try like to help in the parents. Like we take them to in a counseling sessions, and also in a de-addiction centers, and we do doing a lot of casework with the family, and our main focus is to restore is to restoring the child uh, 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 in a back to the family. Only in the remote cases, it's only in the rare cases, in case the family like is it's a totally dysfunctional family. Only so, and only then like we in contact we in contact the government in the child care centers.
Okay.
But very rarely it happens.
Okay. Thank you, Sujay.
सर सुजय, मैं पूछना चाहूंगी आपसे कुछ। सुन पा रहे हैं आप मुझे? जी, आप अनम्यूट कर सकते हैं अपना ये सुजय।
हाँ प्लीज।
हाँ सर, मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहूंगी कि जो आपका एनजीओ, इसका मेन सेंटर कहाँ पे है? मतलब ये कहाँ से ऑपरेट होता है अपने दिल्ली में? आपने बताया कि कुछ जगह आप काम होता है, आपने जैसे कि बताया कुछ लोकेशन जैसे कश्मीरी गेट वगैरह के आपने नाम लिए, तो सर जो मेन ऑफिस आपका कहाँ से ऑपरेट होता है दिल्ली में?
अभी हमारा मेन ऑफिस इट इज इन जौनापुर। वो इट इज इन साउथ दिल्ली में। इट्स नियर इन छतरपुर।
अच्छा, छतरपुर के पास।
हाँ, छतरपुर में। हाँ,
ओके ओके, काफी अच्छा है ये आपका एनजीओ। और जिस मतलब ऐसे ही बोलना चाह रही हूँ, मतलब बहुत अच्छा लगा आपने जो जो बताया, जो चीजें सुन के। छोटे बच्चों से थोड़ा लगाव होता है लोगों को, तो काफी अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं आप, और आपका एनजीओ बहुत अच्छे से वर्क कर रहा है कि जो छोटे बच्चे हैं जिन पे ध्यान नहीं दिया जाता, क्योंकि बेसिकली उन्हीं को आपको ठीक करना है, तो वो अपने यहाँ बड़े जाके अपने आप ठीक हो जाएंगे। तो छोटे से शुरुआत यहाँ पे हो रही है। और सर मैं एक और चीज से पूछना चाहूंगी, आपने यूनिसेफ के बारे में सुना है? तो ये उससे भी कनेक्ट है क्या? यूनिसेफ हमारा ये जो वर्ल्ड लेवल पे काम करता है।
हाँ, उससे हमें थोड़े फंड्स मिलते हैं, और लाइक उतना फंड्स नहीं आता वहाँ से। मीन उनके छोटे छोटे प्रोजेक्ट हैं, वो उन लोग अपने ही लाइक इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं अपने से डायरेक्टली। ओनली अगर उनसे ऐसे कोई प्रोजेक्ट इम्प्लीमेंट होने पाए, तो वो लोग हमें कांटेक्ट करते हैं।
ओके, तो उनसे कनेक्ट हैं आप? क्योंकि मैं भी लास्ट मैंने एक एनजीओ के साथ काम किया था, तो वो भी इसी से थोड़ा कनेक्ट था, तो काफी अच्छी फंडिंग देता है यूनिसेफ। तो ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि आपका एनजीओ इससे कनेक्ट है, तो आपको फंडिंग में मुझे लगता है बहुत अच्छे से हेल्प कर पाता होगा यूनिसेफ। जी जी, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।
मैं एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहूंगा अगर टाइम है तो। कैन आई आस्क?
हाँ सर, हाँ सर।
रोहिल कैन आई आस्क?
हाँ सर।
या थैंक यू। सुजय जी, आपको कितने साल उस एनजीओ में काम कर रहे हो, और आपको उसमें ज्वाइन कैसे हुआ?
ये इसमें अभी 6 साल हो गए ऑलरेडी इसमें मेरे। तो ये जो फाउंडर है, वो उनके जो नेफ्यू है, ही इज माय क्लोज फ्रेंड, तो उसने इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया मैडम से।
ओके, तो ज्वाइन करने के लिए कुछ टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन है, या एनीबॉडी इंटरेस्टेड कैन ज्वाइन?
नहीं, बेसिकली दे आस्क, दे एक्सेप्ट for children, they expect at least in a master's in social work में, or 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 else in social sciences में.
ओके, तो आपने क्या मास्टर्स किया है सोशल साइंस में?
मैंने like different masters किया since like I'm since मैं कम्युनिकेशन पढ़ने देखता हूँ, तो इसलिए मैंने एमकॉम किया. लेकिन बाकी जो स्टाफ है लाइक तो डील विद चिल्ड्रन डायरेक्टली, उनको करना जरूरी है एमएसडब्ल्यू.
अच्छा, तो आपका उधर काम कम्युनिकेशन वर्कशॉप का है, राइट? यू अरेंज कम्युनिकेशन वर्कशॉप.
हाँ, और इन पब्लिकेशंस इन रिपोर्ट वन.
अच्छा, तो ओके, तो बेसिकली क्या होता है कम्युनिकेशन वर्कशॉप में आपके? उस बेसिकली आप क्या करते हो, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन?
मेरा रोल इट इज मोस्टली लाइक इन फंडरेजिंग में, एंड आल्सो इन प्रोड्यूसिंग पोस्टर्स and annual reports and publications etc.
तो आपके कम्युनिकेशन करने का आपको चांस मिलता है टू इंटरेक्ट विद न्यू पीपल आपके एनजीओ?
हाँ, ऐसे मिलते हैं, मतलब ऐसे. हाँ.
ओके, तो फिर आपको स्टैमरिंग होती होगी, देन हाउ यू मैनेज ऑल दिस?
ये टेंशन हो जाती है लाइक इनिशियली. अभी जो फंडर्स हैं हमारे, वो they are in old funders. So I mean like वो उनको रिमाइंड करना पड़ता है, लाइक उन्हें रिमाइंड लाइक उन्हें ईयरली रिमाइंड करना होता है, तो वो वाला फंड दे देते हैं. तो ऐसे तो अब तक तो कुछ इश्यू नहीं आया है. मतलब ऐसे इश्यूज आते हैं मतलब बीच में, बट वो उसके इनफैक्ट उनकी हैबिट हो गया कि. तो
ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच. आपने बहुत ही अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया. आई लाइक्ड इट वेरी मच. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, Sujay. If anyone has any question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can move forward to the next presentation. Okay, so yeah, okay, so thank you, Sujay. Thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you for giving the chance.
So, and yeah, please confirm if you can, if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. So guys, the topic for my presentation. Just a second. Yeah. So guys, the topic for my presentation is 10 life lessons from Gautam Buddha, which we can apply in our everyday life. So guys, the purpose for this presentation is that nowadays all of us have all the basic needs like which we need for survival, but still deep down we are either sad, depressed, or we are searching for that missing pieces in our life. So I made this presentation to help you find those missing pieces of your life through the teachings of Gautam Buddha. And guys, just for the record, this is not a religious presentation. This is just a presentation on the teachings of a person. So who was Gautam Buddha? First, Gautam Buddha was a prince in Shakya clan in ancient India. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. He left his comfort zone to gain to gain knowledge about life and the cycle of life. When he learned about life, he founded Buddhism, which and his techniques are entirely based upon the arising of dukkha and the ending of dukkha. A couple of years later, after his uh, death, he was known as the Buddha, which means awakened one or the enlightened one. So let us look at his life lessons. So his first lesson was practice the middle way. According to Gautam Buddha, there are four noble truths in everyone's life. First is there is suffering. Everyone suffers either by one way or another. The second truth is that we suffer because we attach ourselves with our own desires. The third one is that we can detach ourselves from our desires, and the fourth is life is not perfect. So according to Gautam Buddha, if we are successful, okay, we become egoistic. And then when we are egoistic, if anyone says something against our ego, we feel bad. And then from that point, suffering starts. And on the other hand, if we are trying our best, but still we are failing, we start comparing ourselves to ourselves. When we are failing, when we start comparing ourselves to others, at that point suffering starts. Gautam Buddha says that life is not at all perfect. Stop making it perfect. In reality, we are imperfectly perfect. So the second one is adopt the right view. Gautam Buddha says that we should always think about our own thoughts, and then we should think that why are we thinking that thought. I know that it might be a little confusing at first, but just for an example, if I am angry now, I should think like why am I angry. आज मेरे साथ ऐसा क्या हुआ जिसके कारण मैं गुस्सा हूँ. And then to understand your own thought very well, you should practice mindfulness. So then what is mindfulness? Mindfulness means being in the present moment. Like in this picture, you can see the difference between mindful and mindfulness. The man is he is thinking about different things, house, car, but on the other hand, his dog is thinking only about the present. That's mindfulness. And yeah, if we take another example, a father was getting late for his work, and then that's why he was frustrated. A son was playing outside, and accidentally he breaks the car's window. The father was already frustrated because he was getting late for work. The father starts scolding his son, and he uses some abusive word just out of frustration. Then after he hearing that abusive word, the mother comes and fights with the father that how can he use such words, and then both of them fight. So then within this, what happens that the father is already late for work, and the second thing which happens is that because of that fight, he is constantly frustrated because he had a fight with his wife. So then on the other hand, if he could have explained uh, uh, calmly to his son that he should be he should not play in such a manner, then his day would have been very different. And yeah, and then he would have been calm the entire day. So then that's why Gautam Buddha says that to to have the right view, first of all, you need to control your mind in each and every situation. The third lesson is create good karma. So then what is karma? Karma means our action, and what causes action? The impulse in our mind which tells us what kind of action we should do, good or bad. So according to Gautam Buddha, the impulse from our brain which tell us that what we can do, as if what type of karma we can do, that is volition. Volition is a mental impulse pushing us to a particular experience. So as I said, volition causes karma. Volition are of two types: good volition and bad volition. People who practice good volition, they are happy people, because of their good volition, they have good karma. Like they love to help people. They are happy when their friends get happy. So then that's why even the people who practice good volition, even they are happy, right? And people who practice bad volition, they are always unhappy because they are jealous of other people. They are always trying to pull people down. And also Gautam Buddha says that if you practice good karma, you will get good things back. Like whatever you give, you get the same thing back. So that's why Gautam Buddha says to practice good karma. And then everyone has a past. So then what if you were practicing bad karma in your past? So then Gautam Buddha says that our past do not define us. What we do today will shape our present and future. So then so then even if you were practicing bad karma, stop thinking about that and start practicing good karma from afresh. So the fourth thing is live today like it's your last day. After reading this topic heading, you might think like कि मैं कितना नेगेटिव वे में बात कर रहा हूँ. But wait guys, let me complete this topic. So guys, if you can see in this image, this is the actual screenshot from Google. That is, what are the regrets of dying people? Okay, the regrets of dying people, they are not like काश मेरे पास और दो Mercedes होती, काश मेरे पास और दो बड़े बंगले होते. But in fact their regrets are, if I had the courage to live a life, if I had the courage to live a life true to myself, if I hadn't worked so hard for money, I wish I could spend more time with my friends and family. So then these are actual regrets, and then you can and then these are the actual regrets of dying people. So Gautam Buddha says that if you live your life like in an attitude कि आज का दिन मेरा आखिरी दिन हो सकता है, you will enjoy your day. You will avoid fighting with people. You will avoid getting into small fighting incidents, and then you will live your life to the fullest. And the most important thing, you will be happy, because if you live the life with this principle, you will always do whatever you always wanted to do. And yeah, and then once again, even for this, you need to practice mindfulness. In this image, we can see a beautiful message. The boy says to his dog that we live only once, but the dog says wrong. We only die once, but we live every day. So then Gautam Buddha says that we should live life in this same attitude, and because of which we will stop worrying about the future, and we will also stop regretting about our past. So the fifth lesson is great things are a result of small good habits. So like example, you cannot build six-pack abs in one night. It takes lots of sacrifice. You need to sacrifice lot of things. The person who is at the top today, he did not went at the top in a single night. He was working for that thing from many years, from many days. So Gautam Buddha says that that good habits are tough at first. Like if you have just joined gym, okay, then being regular at gym might be very difficult. You might be in constant pain because of the muscle ache and all. But at a long term, you will have good physique. You will have good immunity, and the same is for bad habits. Her habits. So bad habits, they like smoking and drinking. They might give you happiness at first, but then at the long run, they will spoil your body from inside. And yeah, and regarding the bad habit, regarding the bad and good habit, there's a very interesting research by Dr. Nora Volkow. Dr. Nora Volkow is a well-known face among the people who are fighting against drug addiction. So then she says that the first step to change your bad habit is to be aware of it. According to her research, it takes minimum 21 days to develop a small good habit, like drinking water every day after waking up. But it takes maximum 254 days to develop a strong good habit, like practicing mindfulness, and then practicing many such good habits which will be essential for your long run. So that's why that's why practicing good habits might be very tiring at first, but then at a long run they are very beneficial. So the sixth lesson is show wisdom in your silence. This is my favorite topic. In today's era, all thanks to Google and its founder Larry Page. Larry Page made an algorithm which is Page algorithm, because of which you can get any information just in your fingertips, right? So whatever information you want to search about, you can just Google it on, and then you will get that information, all because of Page algorithm. But guys, because of this easy approach of information, we are becoming a victim of wisdom paradox. So then guys, what is wisdom paradox? Let us say that I have wisdom paradox, okay, and this entire circle, guys, can you see my mouse? Someone please
Yes.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, so then
Yes.
thank you, Prashant. So according to wisdom, so what is wisdom paradox? If we consider this entire circle as knowledge, and if I know only the gray part of this circle, I will think like I know everything, but in but in reality, a lot is left behind. This is wisdom paradox, and in this era, we all are becoming a victim of wisdom paradox. And so because of wisdom paradox, we are also getting victim of fake news. We fall prey to fake news very easily, all thanks to wisdom paradox. So then for this, Gautam Buddha says that we should gain knowledge. And yeah, and then once again, gaining knowledge is not that simple. Okay, you need years of years of dedication, years of sacrifice to gain actual knowledge. Sorry, knowledge. And then to be wise, we should be able to apply that knowledge. Only then we will be wise. Just a second, guys. Joseph wants to join again. Nikhil, Joseph is saying that that someone is not letting me in. Can you please look after it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so then Gautam Buddha says that to gain wisdom, we should gain knowledge. And okay, yeah, and then to gain knowledge, we need lots of sacrifice. Only then we can gain knowledge, and then because of which only we can be wise. And Dalai Lama says that when you talk, you are only repeating what you know, but if you listen, you may learn something new. This is even applicable today. Because of wisdom paradox, we all know that we all think that we know everything. So then that's why we are just talking and talking about a specific thing. And for that, Gautam Buddha says that we should learn when to speak and when to listen. So the next is, in a conflict, choose compassion. Many world leaders have emphasized on non-violence. Many those world leaders, they say that if anyone is saying bad to you or foul words to you, if you react to that situation in a strong way, that means that whatever he or she said, you are accepting it. So then in such a situation, you should deal with this with compassion. Yes, guys, but even compassion has its own limit. Okay, like otherwise we will face the same issue which was faced by Tibet when China conquered Tibet. So the next is choose friends over quality. Buddha says that during our hard times, many people might not like to be with us. They even there is a very famous quote of actor Nawazuddin Siddiqui. He says that कि जब तुम्हारा बुरा वक्त चलता है, तब तुम्हारे रिश्तेदार भी मुंह फेर के चले जाते हैं, पर जब तुम्हारा अच्छा वक्त आता है, लोग तुमसे रिश्ता जोड़ते हैं. And the same is even applicable in even today. So then that's why Gautam Buddha says that we should always choose our friends very wisely. And then the 9th point is we should be generous. Gautam Buddha says that thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of candle will not be shortened. This is okay. So then to prove this point, we can take example of TISA. Okay, the founder of TISA, Dr. Sachin Srivastava, consider him as one candle. He enlightened other candles through his wisdom, and those other candles enlightened few more candles by what they learned, and this process is still continuing, and even kindness follows ripple effect. What is ripple effect? Okay, if you drop a water droplet in water there, so then there will be, okay, so then the waves will be formed in all the direction. The same is true with kindness. If one person shows kindness in a group of 10 people, slowly all those people will be kind. And so that's why we should be kind. And yeah, even Gautam Buddha says that we all have limitless power to lit too many candles. We can lit as many candles as we want because we have limitless power. Power is all in our mind. And the last point is even you can be Gautam Buddha. As I said in the first slide that this presentation is to deal with our issues like anger, self-doubt, stress, depression, and then by applying these small principles, even we can become Buddha too. Even Gautam Buddha says that happiness starts from right where you are. We have the power to enlighten ourselves. No one can enlighten us. It is completely within us. Thank you, guys.
Nice, Rohit.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Any questions? I will try to answer them.
Rahul, Rohit, I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding Gautam Buddha.
Yeah.
You know, Gautam Buddha have no hair in their head. They are bald.
Okay.
Means they removed their hair during their meditation. During their meditation time.
Okay.
But in every picture we have seen that they have a curly hair. So their actual hair or they are something other else.
Actually, what I read one day when Gautam Buddha was meditating, it was raining heavily, and then those are not hairs, those are the snails which were on his head to protect him from the rain, so that he can't be distracted. Or yeah, and then there's also another theory regarding that Gautam Buddha was so deeply involved in his meditation that snails started to occupy his head. So yeah, so then there are two such theories on that.
Thank you, Rohit.
Yeah, thank you, Vishal. Any more questions? I will try my best to answer them.
Yeah, so Rohit, I have a question to you. So talking about mindfulness, so can I ask you how you are practicing mindfulness in your daily life?
Yes. Thank you, Nikhil. That was a wonderful question. See, everyone has their own way of practicing mindfulness. As the god of even the god of cricket, Sachin Tendulkar has his own way of practicing mindfulness. He says that कि क्रिकेट खेलना मेरे लिए मंदिर जाने जितना बराबर था. So then how I practice mindfulness is that I just close my eyes and I just focus on my breath. Like if I am taking a breath, if I am taking a breath, I will hold it for few seconds and then I will release the breath. And then when I will release it, I will count 1. And even during the second time, I will count 2. And if in this process, if some thought comes in my mind, I will start again. Back from zero. So then my goal is to do at least 25 25 mindfulness sessions. So then that's how I try to practice mindfulness.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I have a question, Rohan.
Yes, Sujay.
It's primarily related to our problem only. How do we control this excitement? Like, is there any meditation which helps it to remain calm? And I've tried it a lot, but I just cannot concentrate at all. Is there any way, matlab?
See, regarding this, mindfulness has helped me a lot. Like whenever I think कि मैं अभी stammer करूँगा, and then I bring mindfulness into practice. I observe everything around me. This method was suggested by Dr. Sachin Srivastava during the TOPG batch. So then he told us that observe in your surroundings, search for things which you of different colors, search for things which you can which can speak, search for things which you can taste. So then by practicing such mindfulness, your mind is diverted from your negative thought, and then and then in short, you are out of your own mind. So then that's what I will recommend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sujay.
I have a question. May I ask?
Yes, Suraj sir, please.
Yeah. आपने कहा कि desire is the cause for दुखा. आपने एक स्टेटमेंट दिया था.
Yes, sir.
तो अगर desire is cause for दुखा, तो क्या हमें desire नहीं होना चाहिए किसी भी चीज के लिए? Should we not aim for anything? हमें लाइफ में क्या aimless रहना चाहिए? What do you mean by that?
Actually, Gautam Buddha means that we suffer because we are too much attached with our desire. We think कि like अगर मैंने gate qualify like this is what I used to think कि अगर मैंने gate qualify नहीं किया, I am a failure. But then on the other hand, there are other ways too. I can work on my skills to or then I can go for MBA. अगर मेरे में वो skills नहीं है और वो knowledge नहीं है, I can go for other things. Human being के लिए ultimate thing should be to be happy. And then we are depressed because because we are always because we attach too much with the materialistic things like money, food, house. Yeah, yes, yes, sir. And once again to to clarify, when I said that we should that when I said that we should not be too much attached to money, by that I do not mean कि हम पैसे कमाना छोड़ दें. Money should not be a source of happiness कि अगर मुझे 1 लाख रुपए मिल रहे हैं मंथ के, अगर मुझे 1 लाख से भी अगर 2-3 हजार भी कम आता है, then I will be sad. So then Gautam Buddha says that we should be away from such kind of desires.
Thank
मैं
you, Rohit.
इसी में कुछ ऐड करना चाहूंगी.
Sure, yes ma'am, sure ma'am.
हाँ सर, आपने बताया है ये अच्छा. मैं इसमें बस एक चीज और ऐड करना चाहूंगी कि लाइक हम हमेशा अपने जो हमारा फ्यूचर है उसके बारे में सोचते हैं कि हमें ये करना है, हमारा वो कुछ प्लानिंग्स होती है, माइंड मैप में हमारा चलता रहता है कि हमें पहले ये स्टडीज करनी है, फिर ये जॉब करना है, फिर ये करना है, फिर वो करना है. मतलब हम उस चीज को लेकर ज्यादा सोचने की बजाय, ज्यादा फ्यूचर की बजाय अगर हम अपने जो प्रेजेंट पे काम करेंगे तो वो बहुत अच्छा होगा, बजाय हम उतना सोचने के कि मतलब अगर ये नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा, मैंने जो सोचा है अगर वो कनेक्ट नहीं हो पाया. तो अगर उस चीज को देखा जाए तो अपना जो प्रेजेंट है उस पे हमें अपना काम थोड़ा ज्यादा करना चाहिए, बजाय फ्यूचर का सोचना चाहिए, बट इतना ज्यादा नहीं कि आप अपना प्रेजेंट में सिर्फ सोचने में वेस्ट कर रहे हो. आपको अपने प्रेजेंट में हार्ड वर्क करना है ताकि आप अपना डिजायर कंप्लीट कर सको. तो बिल्कुल आगे के लिए सोचना चाहिए, आपको अपना डिजायर बिल्कुल सोच के रखना चाहिए, लेकिन सोचने के चक्कर में अपना जो प्रेजेंट है उसको वेस्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. बस मैं इसमें ये और ऐड करना चाह रही थी. थैंक यू.
Nice, nice one. Nice.
Yes ma'am, thank you ma'am. Any more questions which I can try to answer?
एक और मेरा कोई सवाल नहीं है, बस मेरे को कुछ पॉइंट्स आपके बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे लगे. लाइक आपका जो आज का दिन है वही ऐसे जियो कि वो आखिरी है. लाइक लाइफ टुडे लाइक इट्स योर लास्ट डे. तो ये मुझे सबसे अच्छा लगा पूरे आपके पैराग्राफ में, काफी इंटरेस्टिंग लगा मुझे ये.
Thank you ma'am. Okay guys, thank you for hearing my presentation. Now we can move forward to the next presenter, who is Vishal Mishra. Yeah ma'am. Yeah, yes Nidhi ma'am.
सर मेरा एक और सवाल है. आइए मैं बस ये मतलब ऐसे ही पूछना चाह रही हूँ क्योंकि बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है और मैं बिल्कुल उसको ज्वाइन करना चाहती हूँ जो आप लोग बोल रहे हैं. तो बस मेरा एक सवाल है कि ये मतलब कब तक है ये, मतलब जो इवेंट है ये कब तक और चलेगा, क्योंकि मेरा कुछ होल्ड था काम, तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि मैं इसे मतलब बिल्कुल ज्वाइन करूँ. तो ये कब तक चलेगा, क्या आप मुझे थोड़ा सा हिंट दे सकते हैं? मैं फ्री हूँ, मैं मतलब ज्वाइन कर सकती हूँ आगे. थोड़ा सा हिंट चाहती हूँ कि और कितनी देर तक चलेगा ये सेशन.
मैम सिर्फ एक ही प्रेजेंटर बाकी है मैम. सो फिर 25 है ना, क्योंकि 25 मिनट्स सबको ये दिया स्लॉट, एंड देन 5 मिनट्स का Q&A सेशन. सो फिर मैम 30 मिनट्स मैक्स. Yeah, yes. So then now I would like to invite Vishal Mishra.
Hello, hello all.
I'm
Myself Vishal Mishra, and I am from Mumbai, and I am a member of TISA since 8 years. I joined TISA around in 2013 or 14 between, and since then I joined I host many meeting, and I met new people. I made new friends like Nikhil Rohil and other Sachin sir. I met to motivational people. So this was my short introduction, and after that I will present my screen. Please confirm if you see my screen. So hi all, is my screen is visible to all of you?
Uh, yes, Vishal. We
Yes,
can
yes.
see your screen.
Can see yours.
So let me share my okay. So before starting my presentation, I am from pharmacy background. I have completed my Master of Pharmacy from Mumbai University, and I am working as a today I will discuss about my like my profession pharmacy, history of pharmacy. You know, for doing anything we have to know about history. Today we are today India is India is a independent country, but history of independence is very vast. Many national reformer, many peoples took their part for Indian independence. So pharmacy, we are currently we are dealing with the many medicine, diabetic medicine, anti-hypertensive medicine, and so on. So for knowing history of pharmacy, I will discuss few points. My presentation uh, will not be very long. It is a very short presentation. So as you can see in the picture, there is a one doctor and patient, and one person praying for patient. So in previous era, in ancient time, people were totally dependent upon the prayer and medicine, because that time we didn't have any idea about medicine. That time people were only used like herbs, jadi buti kinds of. So history of pharmacy. The name pharmacy, it comes from the word pharmakon. You know, Greek country is present in the Greece country. We at present we are known as a Greece country. It is one of the famous country of Europe continent, Greece. So Greek, the entire formula of pharmacy were come from the Greek, and the famous scientist was Dioscoride. He wrote a book, like he mentioned the various kinds of medicine in their book, De Materia Medica. That book contained the around 500 types of medicine and their use. So pharmacy come from the word pharmakon, which means drug or medicine. Further, there is a one more Greek philosopher, Theophrastus. We are known as the father of botany. They also mention about the plant, herbs, shrub for their medicinal use, and they were found to effective that they can treat the various kinds of disease and disorder and ailment. After that, scientists known as a Mithridates, they term the formula of antidote. You know, antidote are the for treating the poisoning. They are against the poison. So they have discovered the formula of antidote named as a Mithradum. As you can see in picture, there is a Greek soldier. They are they had catch the person, and they are applying the antidote on it, on that person. And this is a picture of famous scientist Theophrastus. After that, Chinese people also have a major contribution in development of pharmacy. they have also wrote the book like received from the 52 element. You know the BC, before Christ, means at the age of Christ, when Christ was born, so people consider as a zero age. Zero means the era start from that. Means before BC, matlab before means birth of Christ, before 168 year. Chinese had a major contribution in development of pharmacy. And AD in Anno Domini, after the birth of Christ. So there is a one manuscript called as a Shenong Benako Jing. He also medicine. He was also told about the different kinds of medicine, herbs, herbal drug. They are mentioned about 150 different types of herbal drug, and they are called as the father of medicine, Chinese medicine, Shenong. So they wrote the book like Divine Farmer, Classic of Materia Medica. After that, Roman have also major contribution in development of pharmacy. The famous scientist of Galen. So these scientists are to be considered as a father of pharmacy. Earlier one, they are known as a father of botany, father of like something medicine, but they are known as the father of pharmacy. Means they form the medicine like formula. Like the Galen is a great instructor and practitioner. They formulate the medicine from the Rome, and they are told as the father of pharmacy. After the Baghdad, you know the Arab country, famous city of Baghdad, Iraq, Iran, capital of Iran, Baghdad. They also developed the medicine like alchemy. You know they have, you know, Arab people have also contribution for development of pharmacy. They have developed the many kinds of scent essence for human being, and you know scent also play an important role for good mood. If you smell the good scent, your mood will be happy for a long time. So they started their following their pharmacy profession in 19th century, and they started from the Baghdad city and spread the entire Europe and dive into the chemistry. So in this picture you can see that there is a cow, there is a camel, and there is a hakim. In Arab country, the doctor all called as a hakim. In India, we call it a Vaidya, Acharya. So doctor have a different name in different region. Then come to Europe. In Europe, there is a King Frederick. They are told that the key pharmacy was pharmacy. Earlier was that pharmacy and medical both are single profession. But after King Frederick mentioned that we have separate profession. Uh, we we did not put the entire burden on the doctor. Means the doctor can diagnose disease, also well can give the medicine. It was not happen. We have separate profession for medical and for pharmacy. So this formula continue, and that's the picture of the separate profession of pharmacy in the early 18th and 19th century. So in United States, they published the year first pharmacopoeia. You know pharmacopoeia. Pharmacopoeia is the Bible of pharmacy. In India, we have Ramayana, Bible, Quran. In Quran, we have different kinds of like scriptures, and in Ramayana, we have different kinds of scripture and good lesson. So pharmacopoeia is the Bible of pharmacy. Pharmacopoeia mention all the medicine, their formulation, their use, their side effect, what kinds of formulation we are making for their particular drug. So first pharmacopoeia published by the USA in 1820, and first pharmacy school was established in Philadelphia. Right. So that's complete. So you know the first country USA have taken the major step for development of pharmacy profession. because they started the first pharmacy school. So as you can see in the picture, there is a American Pharmacy Association. They they come on weekly basis and discuss the all the different scenario. Means pharmacy profession is going good or not. What's major problem? What's major what's means what kinds of good action taken to be for development of the pharmacy. So after that, in 1888, the National Formulary of America was published by the American Pharmacy Association. That contained the various kinds of excipient, botanical, and similar products. You know, excipient are non-drug component. You know, when we making bhaji, vegetable, we take bhaji and aloo, masala, oil, salt. Then we make bhaji. So while making any formulation like tablet, capsule, we have taken drug, and also we have taken sweetener, coloring agent for making tablet capsule. So excipient are non-drug component. They have no therapeutic value, but they are used to form the formulation. So in India we followed the Ayurveda since from our Vedic period. We follow Ayurveda and Siddha. I mean, Siddha means a divine power. Like we have to meditate, yoga, good food, good diet. We in India people depend on this principle, and this principle are come by the our great scientist Charak and Susrut. You know, the Charak and Susrut was a great physician in India in ancient time. So we follow their legacy in India, continued, and it developed in the 19th century. But as India goes to the uh, as India goes to development, so in India comes the picture of allopathy. You know, we follow allopathy right now. We have mainly like three systems: allopathy, homeopathy, and Ayurveda. Ayurveda followed in India only, or in some part like Nepal and some extent to Pakistan. But allopathy are followed by the entire world, everywhere. And homeopathy followed in the like some European country like Germany, UK. But allopathy are everywhere in the world. So allopathy comes in India from the Britisher. When they ruled the India, they brought this system in India, and they become very popular because allopathy have a good effect, but they have a side effect. But they treat the disease in a very well manner, quickly. So in India, the first pharmacy college established in 1870 as the name of Madras Medical College. In that college, we have a other section of pharmacy college. So in that college, we have to train the pharmacy profession. Means how we have means in that college, people are told by the what is pharmacy profession, how to make medicine, how to deal with medicine, how to store them. But not much progress for the almost half a century. Although they were established, but कोई भी means no progress were seen. So World War One. There is a picture of World War One. Why? Because the first impact for the growth of pharmacy in India, because during the World War, import of the drug was restricted, because all the medicine come from the UK, USA, allopathy medicine. But during World War One, the supply of medicine cut off, and during that period, there were no restriction on the quality of imported drug. Means the drug that is imported in India, they have no quality. They had no quality. So and hence the manufacturer of abroad took the advantage of this situation. So they supplied the poor quality of drug in India during this World War One. So as so as a result, dumping of the inferior quality of medicine and additional drug into India. So to control this situation, government of India has passed many acts, but they were failed in controlling those situations. So in 1930, there was a person like Anand Chopra. They formed the Drug Inquiry Committee, and they make the report, means what kinds of drug are using in India, उनकी क्या quality है, what means they have captured the quality of drug. They make the report, and they have planned the action, means in what way we have to like frame the action, and we have a separate person for pharmacy practice and known as a compounder. So they form the report and they publish their first article as a drug inquiry committee. After that, the person like the Mahadev Lal Shroff, they are called the pharmacy education in India, because they formed the first college in Banaras BHU level. Means in 1870 we have first college in the Madras Medical College, but they are not well functioned. That was not well functioned. But this college was very well functioning, and this college running till present. So they are called the father of pharmacy education in India. So as you can see in this picture, there is a BHU college. In that college we have a separate section for pharmacy education. After that, in 1944, we have another college in Punjab University at Lahore, and that college also taught the pharmacy practice. And from this college we had produced many pharmacists and compounder, and they lead to the development of our modern pharmaceutical industry. So current situation in India are third in terms of volume and 14 terms in the value of money. Means India as the major country in the world to produce medicine. First in the China, second in the USA, and third is India. So India bring the many laws and act to smooth the provision of pharmacy in India. And now, as a result, we are a very good exporter of the drug throughout the period. We also have many giant company, Sun Pharma, Serum Institute of India at Pune, and we also have a large number of college in India as compared to the other country. So trending was what, but now in India the pharmacy is going to back to the very started, this is pharmacy practice. So we have to give more focus on pharmacy practice. Why? Because in India, pharmacy are treated as a compounder. They are only for selling medicine, but they can also tell about the advantage and disorder of medicine. They can also doing patient counseling as well, because doctor is not taking charges for every time. Whenever you go to doctor, they charge the fees like 500, 400 per counseling. But pharmacy, all the aspect of pharmacy practice now, they can also consult the patient on some major point, like when to take medicine, how to take medicine, right? And what is the side effect of the medicine. So thank you so much for listening my presentation. Any question?
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful, Nikhil.
Applause for you. Very wonderful.
Sorry, wonderful, Vishal. Vishal, I have one doubt. Like, what is hello, Vishal?
Ask.
Yeah. So then, what is the basic difference between a pharmacist and a compounder?
Compounder is a previous term for pharmacist, but now we are telling compounder as a pharmacist. Means we have changed the terms.
Okay.
Compounder is like to compound medicine. Previous doctor consult the doctor only write the prescription,
Hmm.
like you have to take this medicine, and that prescription goes to the compounder, and the compounder compound the medicine
Hmm.
like ointment, tablet, capsule, syrup. So that's why the name went to compounder. Means they are compounding medicine to
Hmm.
compounder. But now
Okay.
have, we have a good name, pharmacist.
So,
Understood.
Vishal, I have a question to you. Okay, pharmacist is qualified to work in which all places? Like uh, for example, in a like a shop. He or she can uh, run his like a own shop, or they can work in a doctor's clinic, or they can like do their own jobs, or like they can like start their own something, like own venture. Apart from this, like in India, maximum pharmacists, they uh, where do they work exactly?
Like, see, there is a scenario like if you only did your diploma in pharmacy, so you can only work as a pharmacist, like and as a MR, medical representative, or as a chemist. But if you want to go for like like in R&D production department and clinical department, quality control department, so you have to complete your bachelor or master of pharmacy. And now I am doing I did my masters, so so I can either go for production and or as a chemist or as a clinical research also. So different, like we have a different field. We are not only restricted to the chemist.
Right,
There's also a field like pharmacovigilance. if
right,
if any company launch new drug, so we have to see the effect of drug now in a large population, like side effect. So we have go for the clinical trial, phase 1 trial, phase 2 trial, phase 3 trial. So that trial now we are also looking for this trial. Means a person means that drug is safety for, like that drug have a ADR for ADR effect, or like some dangerous effect. So we are keep looking, we are keep looking on that effect. So there's also field like pharmacovigilance. I am doing working in that field currently.
nice, nice, sir. Good.
Thank you so much. Any more question? Any question, or also so I conclude my presentation.
Just one question only.
Yeah,
You
see.
have any idea who invented this word, this uh, this word pharmacy?
Galen, father of pharmacy. In my PT, I have mentioned, like
Yeah, yeah,
you can see, as you can see.
Callan. So you can just say that again.
Yeah, father of pharmacy. Actually, the pharmacy terms is not coming from
Callan,
India. It's
Callan.
from the Greek country or Roman country. In India, we followed the Ayurveda and Siddha
Huh.
from our ancient time. And now
Uh,
currently we are majorly focusing on allopathy. Allopathy have a quicker action, but have a side effect as well. And on on the other hand, Ayurvedic and homeopathic, they have action. Mean
Don't.
they show their action after a long time, but they have a lesser side effect. Any more question?
Yes, Vishal. Vishal,
Yeah, sir.
as you just said
Hmm.
that Ayurvedic has lesser side effect than allopathy, right? Yeah. So then, what kind of side effects are you talking about? Like does allopathy makes our immune system weak or what?
Very well question. Rohit. Fantastic. Allopathic, they are dealing with your natural process. Means they act as a natural way. And allopathic, they are they are altering or modifying your human response. So if you are changing your body pattern, your body response, so definitely you will suffer from side effect, right? So let me give you example. Today we are cutting the tree. We are we are we are moving to deforestation. So now we are facing the major, like like a- like a like, like landslide and heavy rainfall, and also a dry. Sometimes we are also we are facing dry weather. So in same way, in the similar way, if you are playing with your against our natural process, natural system, so ultimately your body responds in a different, and it will come out as a side effect, and not a miss. Allopathy always like something like vomiting, nausea, and GI pain. That's it. So that is a common side effect. That is not a very much not a much issue, not a big issue. Got your answer, Rohit?
Uh, yes, Vishal, I got the
Nice,
answer. Thank you, Vishal.
nice question, nice answer.
Rohit always ask very nice question. Hats off to you, Rohit.
Thanks. uh,
So
uh,
thank you guys. I will conclude my presentation and moving back to Rohit.
So you can which I the ये कर दो.
uh, sh-
You can stop.
yeah, yeah, Vishal, can you turn off your screen sharing? Vishal?
हाँ रोहित, एक मिनट
Sure, sure.
हो गया.
Yeah, okay. So then it was a wonderful presentation, Vishal. Thank you, and thank you to all the presenters, Sujay, Vishal, and Yami. So, so yes, yeah. So guys, this was a wonderful evening, full of knowledge, full of wisdom. Even tomorrow
Yes, yes.
morning, even tomorrow morning we will have uh, same kind of presentation. Hope to see you all even tomorrow.
Yes, yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
guys. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining this, and thank you for making this a big success.
Yes, yes, Rohit. Thank you so much, Rohit.
Thank you, Rohul. Yeah, and thank you, Rohul, and also Nikhil, and also Vishal, and also Nidhi to for staying for so long.
Thank you
And
so much, Rohit.
yeah, and especially Rohul, and also Nikhil are organizing this.
Actually, Sujay, TISA organized it. We
Right, right.
and a single person did not organize it. It was a total